All right, let's do a first ride impression of a 2025 Toyota Sienna. I'll give you my first drive thoughts. Got our road trip buddy here, and he is ready to go. Now, I did, of course, have to buckle his seatbelt, or else the seatbelt chime in this Sienna will drive you absolutely crazy. Okay, let's talk about the 2025 Toyota Sienna. Now, I think your excitement about this vehicle is going to depend a lot on what you are coming from. Now, so for my wife and I, coming from a 2010 Toyota Sienna, which has been an excellent vehicle, one of the most reliable vehicles that I have ever owned, taking a step up into a 2025 Sienna feels like going from a Chariot all the way up to a spaceship in some ways. That vehicle did not have a backup camera. Like this Sienna has a beautiful 12-inch screen, excellent backup camera. My 2010 Sienna did not even have Bluetooth on the audio system, so this having wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. Here's our CarPlay here connected to my phone. And all the other safety features that this car comes with, Toyota Safety Sense 2.0. So all that to say, from where we're coming from, this vehicle feels amazing. If you have a more modern car, you will probably be less impressed with this car than we are. Also, this is the first hybrid that I have ever owned or really ever even driven. So let's see if we can take a peek at some of these systems. One of the things you'll notice is that our digital dash display here is much different than a non-hybrid vehicle. For example, over on the left, it's going to tell me whether I am charging, whether I'm in the eco zone to get good fuel economy, or whether I'm using the engine power. There's a few screens here in the middle that I can cycle through to see what kind of power we're using. This one, for example, is quite interesting. It's going to show me as I begin to accelerate. Right now we're using battery, and then as soon as we get up this little incline, it's going to kick that engine on. And one of the major complaints that you hear people say about the hybrid Sienna is that they don't like the loudness when that little 4-cylinder engine kicks in. I think knowing that going in, it really didn't bother me too much. This vehicle is very quiet when you're driving it down the road. It feels very smooth. It's excellent to drive. What do you think, pup? You like that? I think he likes it. Now, the eco rating on this car, it is supposed to get 36 miles to the gallon in town and 36 miles to the gallon on the highway. Your mileage is going to vary depending on a lot of things, and one of the things I'm realizing in just a few hundred miles on this vehicle is that it is very cold in the south. I'm in South Carolina. It's actually in the 20s, which is very cold for the south, and that temperature is going to affect the performance of that hybrid battery. Hybrid battery is not that big, so this does not function like a full EV, although it will drive at slow speeds. Right now you see the little EV icon there. It is currently driving in EV mode, so the engine is not doing anything. I'm going very slow. As soon as I try to give it any gas, we'll see that kick off, and that engine's gonna kick on. There we go. So now we're out of EV mode. And of course, when it is driving in EV mode, like all hybrids or electric vehicles, the car emits a noise intentionally so that people know that it is coming. That can sound a little bit annoying from the outside. On the inside, really don't notice it too much. Like I said, the vehicle is quite quiet. Now, this is the XLE trim of the Toyota Sienna. That's about middle of the range. And from my research, this is the most available trim that you're gonna find. Some of the other upper level trims, or even that base model, can be hard to find. Now, we were looking for the 8-passenger, which has that middle seat there in the back. We've got 3 kids, and we very often find ourselves in a situation where we have either my parents with us or even a few other kids, my kids' friends, where we will actually want all 8 seats. So that was a must for us. If you go above the XLE, unfortunately, the 25 Sienna is not available in the 8-passenger. That's pretty interesting to me. I guess they want to focus on those upper level trims, on those really cushy middle seats. But for us, the 8-passenger was important. Now, that said, we actually bought a vehicle that was on the lot. Now, that can be hard to find. In fact, the Toyota Safety Sense is beeping at me because it thought I was going out of the lane. The Toyota Safety Sense is on by default, which I do like. On my Honda, I actually have to turn that lane assist on every time that I'm in the vehicle. This one's on by default whenever you start driving somewhere. But it can be hard to find a Toyota Sienna on the lot. In fact, the 4 dealers closest to me, there was one vehicle that was actually available to purchase, and that is this one, which we purchased. But I think most people are going to end up ordering one directly from the dealer, or even going on Toyota's website and just ordering one yourself. Now let's talk about who this vehicle is not for. If you want a vehicle with a ton of power, you want to race around, and you want to just really feel like you've got a big beefy engine in your large minivan, I don't know who those people are, you know, this is probably not the car for you. In fact, we direct compared the Honda Odyssey. The 25 Odyssey is available only in that 6-cylinder engine, and it has a lot of power compared to the Toyota Sienna. I would much rather try to drive around getting 40 miles to the gallon, which is something that I've had fun doing so far. I've gotten 40 one time on a short 4-mile trip, and then gotten close in the high 30s a time or two. And a lot of that's going to depend on getting your engine nice and warm and the topography of your drive. Now let's do some quick math here on gas mileage. Now saving 50% or something like that on your gas probably isn't going to justify purchasing a new vehicle. You would have to be driving a ton for those gas savings to actually add up to the point where you think it's worth it to buy a new vehicle. Let me pull over here and I'll show you some of the Toyota Safety Sense features we've got here. Put it in park here. One of the things I really like is it automatically puts that parking brake on. I don't have to do that myself. Another awesome feature that you can see down here is this is the brake hold button. When you're sitting in traffic or you're sitting at a red light, you actually can tap that button, and then you can take your foot off the brake, and you'll see this little hold icon that will come up on your dashboard, and the car is going to hold the brake without me having to do it. Now, when I'm continuing to drive, that will stay on for the next time that I'm at a red light and I come to a complete stop. Again, I can take my foot off the brake. So that's a really neat feature. You see this EV mode down here, and that is only available at low speeds for, I believe it's under 2 miles. So I bet even if I try to do that right now, it probably won't let me. It's gonna depend on my battery charge. Let's see, so it says my battery is 5 bars out of 8. I don't know what that means. It probably won't let me run an E mode with the temperature being 32 degrees outside. But over here on our steering wheel, we can see I've got my radar cruise control. This is gonna set how far back I wanna be from the vehicle in front of me. We've got our lane keep assist, like I said, is on by default, but you can cycle that off. Another thing that we really like is the parking sensors all around the vehicle. So as you are backing up or pulling forward when you're parking, there are sensors on the front, there are sensors on the back, and it is gonna show me distance to an object, especially with a bigger vehicle like this. If you're in your garage or something like that, it's harder to see over the top of that car. This is gonna start beeping at you. Hopefully when you're parking, you're driving very slow, and you'll be able to slowly pull in to where you can get up to. For some of you, if your garage is small, you're coming right up to the wall. Or for me, my kids leave stuff all over the place, so it's been a really nice feature to have as we're pulling in and pulling out. Or again, if you're parallel parking and you're backing close to an object or a vehicle behind you, you've got this nice display, but it is going to begin to beep as you get close to something, which is extremely handy. So another thing that can be a lot of fun is here we see this scorecard on my dashboard. It's actually going to give me a grade and a score up to 100. 100 is a perfect score of how efficient my driving is. Now I imagine if I play with this a little bit more, it has user profiles on the display. So right now it's set for my name, but this is actually my wife's car, so I need to make a profile for her, and then I imagine it's gonna let us be in competition for who can get the best score on our driving. So that's kind of fun if you wanna have a competition in the family. Comfortable enough for you? Oh, you put the seatbelt on yourself. All right, safe poodle, good job. We've got our wireless phone charger up here. The vehicle does come with remote start. You actually can tap the lock button 3 times, and then on the 3rd press you hold it, and it will actually remote start the vehicle. You have to be within distance for your key to work, but for those of you that are not a fan of Big Brother, you're a little bit scared that you know, somebody's watching you, this vehicle may kind of give you the heebs a little bit. It is fully connected to the AT&T network. You can use the car as a hotspot if you choose to pay for that. I can't imagine that's something that I would pay for. But what that means is that this vehicle is communicating with the Toyota dealer. If there is a recall or something, they can actually send it directly to the vehicle. And there's an app that you can use, the Toyota app, and you can communicate with your car that way. You can remote start through the app, and it is going to message you if you leave the car unlocked. And the other really interesting thing is they went way out of their way to try to prevent anyone from leaving a child or a dog or a human being in the car when you walk away. Now, obviously, that's a scenario that would be horrible. And so there's all sorts of alerts on this vehicle if you leave somebody in the car. So in fact, it is highly sensitive. It has been texting me to check the back seat repeatedly when there is nothing in the back seat. In fact, I had the back row fully folded down, and when I folded it back up and opened that seat up and turned the car off after that drive, it said, hey, check the back seat. We think something's in the back seat. So highly sensitive on that. I believe you can turn that off. If you've got little kids, you know, that's probably well worth it. Now, my children are all old enough to where they really shouldn't be ending up locked in the car. They could open the door and get themselves out. But all of those functions, communicating to your phone, you can unlock, lock through the phone, you can remote start through the phone, you can check the location of the vehicle through the phone. All that connectivity is something that maybe not everybody would like. Now, I did joke with the Toyota dealer and I said to him, does there come a time when, what are we upset about? We're beeping at me for some reason. Press brake to maintain the hold. Okay, I kept my foot off the brake long enough where it wants me to make sure I'm still here. All of that connectivity is interesting. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll just drive. We'll do that. I joked with the Toyota dealer and I said, does there come a time where you guys decide that you don't like me and you can just turn my vehicle off? Now, of course, he got very defensive and said, absolutely not. We would never do that. But for those of you who think Big Brother is watching you, you may not like a car that is as connected as this one. When it comes to that Wi-Fi connectivity feature, you can turn your car into a hotspot. Now, maybe that makes sense if your children have devices that are not connected to a phone network, and you want, when you're on road trips, you want them to be able to get out an iPad and connect directly to the car. My phone through Verizon has a hotspot feature, so I can't imagine that I'm gonna wanna pay whatever that monthly fee is to connect my Sienna and make it a mobile hotspot. This one does have built-in navigation that comes for 1 year, and it seems to me that this is just running Google Apps. So far, I found that this is quite impressive. The nice thing about putting your directions here on your screen is they actually show up here on the display. So if we decide we want to go to this brewing company, let's see if it'll let me do that. Oops. All right, so it's giving me some directions right now. And one of the things that you'll notice is that the directions show up here on my dash display. I think that is really nice and handy. And even if I cycle through various screens, it is going to stay up there and give me those directions. Go ahead and end that.
Turn right onto Issaquah Trail.
Go ahead and end that so we don't have to keep listening to that. So an interesting decision for Toyota on this vehicle is it actually comes with Toyota Safety Sense 2.0. I think that's a bit of a disappointment that now that 2.5 Plus and Toyota Sense 3.0 are available. So for me, that is a bit of a miss from Toyota, but these things are selling so well, I don't think it really matters for them. It can be very difficult to find a Toyota Sienna that's just sitting there on the lot. Most people are probably going to Toyota website and building it directly, or going to a dealer and talking specifically about what they want. Now, given that, you're unlikely to find a deal on a Sienna. In fact, the dealer that I bought this from, the reason that this vehicle was available, somebody had already put their $1,000 down to purchase this vehicle, and then that person backed out or just refused to go through with the purchase. Now, I don't know if they lose the $1,000 or not, but the dealer actually contacted me and said, hey, actually that 8-passenger Sienna that you looked at is still available. So even this one would not have been in the lot had that person gone through and made the purchase. This is January of 2025 when we purchased this vehicle, and this was the only 8-passenger Sienna that was actually sitting on a dealer lot, the 4 dealers closest to me, that we could go and purchase. Now, maybe you could let me know in the comments, if you search dealers around you, are you finding 8-passenger Siennas that are available to go and purchase? If you find one on the lot, you're more likely to be able to work a quote deal, in the sense that maybe they'll give you some discount. These things are selling so well, Toyota is not very motivated for you to go in and make a huge discount. Now, we also looked at the Honda Odyssey, and the 25 Odyssey had a lot going for it. We felt like the rear of the Honda Odyssey actually had more space, especially that far third back row was much more spacious than the Sienna's row. The spare tire on the Sienna actually sits back in the left-hand side on the driver's side, and I think that cuts into that rear seat in terms of the width of the seat. But at about the same price point, the Honda Odyssey had a lot more bells and whistles. It had 2-position memory seats over here. It had the rear entertainment system. I was looking at the Odyssey Touring. It had the cabin watch camera where you could actually put a camera on and view the people that are in the back seat. It had the cabin talk feature where you can talk, the driver can talk through the microphones up front, and it would actually be relayed to the passengers in the back. I think that's a pretty awesome feature missing from the Sienna. In a lot of ways in the Sienna, I think you're paying a hybrid tax. You're paying a little bit more to get access to that hybrid system. Now, over time, I think the gas savings are going to make up that difference, but that's really going to depend on how much gas is costing in your area and how much you drive. Now, I'm going to have some explaining to do about why I purchased this vehicle, because my friend Ben, who is likely to watch this video, really didn't think that the hybrid was worth it, and both of us kind of thought, well, maybe you just stick with that 6-cylinder. A Toyota 6-cylinder engine, tried and true. Like I said, my 2010 Sienna has been one of the most reliable vehicles I've ever owned. In fact, the only one that even comes close was also made by Toyota. No surprise there. And so that 6-cylinder engine being tried and true. But the reason that I was willing to buy a hybrid through Toyota is, have you ever met somebody that bought a Toyota hybrid and they say to themselves, man, I really wish I didn't buy a hybrid? In a lot of ways, Toyota is the king of hybrids. They've had really good reliability. This hybrid system on the Sienna has been in the Toyota Highlander for years, so this is not by any means a new system. And the reviews on those first 3 years of the hybrid of the Sienna, so 21 all the way through 24, I guess that's 4 years, have been really, really positive. So I was pretty confident to purchase this vehicle. Now, when it comes to purchasing a new Sienna versus used, especially if you want to get that hybrid, my research, one of the things that I found was you're really not going to see much depreciation. And for my purchase, it came down to this new 25 Sienna versus a 2023 Sienna, which had 30,000 miles. And when all was said and done, the difference in purchasing price was about $4,000. So let me know in the comments, would you save $4,000 to get a 3-year-old Sienna versus buying a brand new Sienna? One of the nice things when you buy a new one, the dealer's offering 4 years or 48,000 miles factory maintenance. So in theory, for 4 years, I will just have to take this thing over there. They'll do all my scheduled maintenance. You obviously get a warranty with Toyota having 10 years on that hybrid system. So that 10-year hybrid warranty should make you confident to buy a 2021 or a 2022. But with only that $4,000 difference between used and new, to me, it made a lot of sense to go ahead and purchase the new one. Now, the 24 XLE Sienna versus the 25 Sienna, one of the advantages you'll find on the 25 is this 12-inch display is now standard across all 2025 Siennas. So prior to that, you had the smaller screen that was in some of the lower end vehicles. Now every single one gets the 12-inch. I think this is an excellent size, gives you great visibility. Well, if you want to hear more about the 2025 Toyota Sienna, definitely let me know what questions you have in the chat. This is the first few days that we've had this vehicle, so this is just my first drive impressions, and I will be making some longer term owner reviews of this car. So if you want to see those, definitely subscribe. Tell me in the comments what you want to see, and let me know, would you rather have the 6-cylinder like on the Honda Odyssey, or would you be willing to get a hybrid Toyota Sienna?